It's difficult to say what is impossible, for the dream of yesterday is the hope of today, and the reality of tomorrow. Robert H. Goddard. Everyone's favorite Blue Bomber is back in Capcom's action platformer sequel, Mega Man 2. Improving in nearly every way over its predecessor, this game is hailed as one of the best in the entire series. With iconic music, tight gameplay, robot masters and their signature weapons, steep difficulty, the energy tanks, and a new password system, Mega Man 2 would set the tone and foundation for the Mega Man franchise to come. Similar to other timeless characters of the gaming industry like Super Mario, Link, or the Balloon Kid from Balloon Kid, the android Mega Man is one of gaming's most enduring and instantly recognizable icons. Known as Rockman in Japan because he rocks, duh, Mega Man is responsible for numerous sequels, spin-offs, animations, and merchandise. Even his classic 8-bit persona saw the light of day again when he was dusted off and spruced up for Nintendo's Super Smash Bros. Wii U, and we are currently looking forward to the new Mega Man 11. In his games, Mega Man adapts to his environment by utilizing different powers. In real life, Mega Man has demonstrated the adaptability to adjust to the modern environment and its ever-changing tastes and demands, its next-gen technology, and it all began with Mega Man 2, a much more successful game than the first entry in the series. Note the fact that Mega Man 2 came together not because Capcom demanded a sequel to an unsuccessful game, but because Mega Man 2's developers chose to work on this project on their own time, while already busy with other designs. They incorporated unused information from the first game and took submissions for ideas for bosses from fans. Mega Man 2 was always a labor of love. Series producer Keiji Inafune said of the experience, "So we of our own accord got together, spent our own time, we worked really hard, just 20 hours a day to complete this, because we were making something we wanted to make. Probably in all my years of actually being in a video game company, that was the best time of my working at Capcom, because we were actually working toward a goal. We were laying it all on the line. We were doing what we wanted to do. And it really showed in the game, because it's a game, once again, that we all put our time and effort and love, so to speak, into it, designing it." Their hard work and long hours paid off. Mega Man 2 is respected as one of the progenitors of platforming and a prime example of classic gaming, as well as one of the best games ever made. It was a coveted title for the original NES system, selling over 1.5 million copies since its release. Mega Man 2 is a quintessential 8-bit game. Its legacy launched its titular character into gaming history and into the fondest centers of the hearts of children of the 80s, namely this 80s kid right here. I still get high fives when I wear a Mega Man graphic tee. Chronologically set after the original Mega Man game, the evil Dr. Wily is back with a host of mechanical servants and 8 robot masters. Dr. Light, Mega Man's creator, dispatches the Blue Bomber to save the day. Mega Man must choose how to confront Wily's robot masters. Upon fighting his way through their unique stages and defeating the masters, he earns a signature weapon based off of the boss's special attacks. You pick up the Leaf Shield from Woodman, the Atomic Fire from Heatman, the ubiquitous Metal Blade from Metal Man, and so on, which can then be used to exploit the particular weakness of the next robot boss, if chosen properly. This means that informed players, which consider that it was comparatively difficult to be informed of the game's secrets back in 1988, could breeze through the game if they knew beforehand what order to fight the robot bosses in. This stands true for every weapon except for the Metal Blade, which is so galactically awesome that even Metal Man is weak to it. Once the 8 bosses are reduced to scrap, then Mega Man can advance to Dr. Wily's fortress replete with its morbid skull motifs. There he must battle through an additional 6 stages, face each of the robot masters a second time, before he can finally reach the scientist mastermind Wily himself. Defeat Dr. Wily, and give yourself a double-jointed elbow pat on the back. You've just beaten a difficult 8-bit platformer from an age when games were remorselessly punishing. Despite its delegation as a side project, almost a hobby for its design team, Mega Man 2 pushed the original Nintendo Entertainment System to its visual limits, featuring some distinctly anime-influenced bright and cartoonish sprites and settings. Even backgrounds were often animated rather than purely static. When I was a wee lad, Mega Man 2 looked fantastic, immersive, frenetic, dystopian, and mysterious. But with a modern taste for high-detail graphics, it now looks more like a child's drawing. Modernity notwithstanding, Mega Man 2 must be judged by its contemporaries, and with that in mind, it was one of the best-looking games of the 8-bit era, with a depth and vividness lacking from several other titles. It even made the first Zelda look like it was found inside of a pair of thrift store skivvies. I mean, at least it looked nothing like the North American box art, thank God. Did you know the original artist admitted he knew nothing about Mega Man when he drew this? I know. Hard to believe, right? Mega Man isn't known as Rockman for nothing. Spawning innumerable concerts, bands, covers, honoraries, mentions, cell phone ringtones, and YouTube medleys, Mega Man 2 is one of the great iconic soundtracks of the 8-bit scene. Its songs are instantly recognizable as belonging to the franchise and different enough from each other even though they all fall into the same intensely paced guitar riffing rock genre that has become characteristic of the series. It's all 80s action film influence with metallic solos, harmonics, and driving beats at crazy tempos. Its tracks make you want to get up and run. As for gameplay, it's tight, and every completed boss that earns you a special weapon simply adds to the experience, changing Mega Man's damage output, range, shot trajectory, etc. Playing through a majority of the game in the order that you choose allows the player to alter the difficulty by opting to engage bosses in the order of their weaknesses or not, and take it like a Mega Man. The addition of E-Tanks in this outing also deepens the playtime from the first game, plus there are all kinds of power-ups and platform tech that Mega Man can utilize to enhance the jump and shoot experience. There is never too much of a good thing in Mega Man 2, nor is there too little. Everything seems perfectly balanced. It's exemplary platforming. Platformers are known for their simple controls. Press this to shoot, press this to jump. It was on a controller with two red buttons labeled A and B, and a select and a start, and the D-pad. Can't get much simpler than that. Anyone can pick up the game and know you got to shoot the bad guys and not fall in the holes, or on the spikes that occupy every conceivable space. New players struggle only until they become familiar with the game, and things like the distance of Mega Man's jump and the patterns of the boss's attacks, which is intuitive. However, simple controls with ease of access belie a more sinister plot. Mega Man 2 cannot be played casually, which takes me to the next subject, that of challenge. Though not as controller-throwingly difficult as the first Mega Man for lack of capability, this second entry can be just as excruciating. Remember that image of the iconic dragon battle in Dr. Wily's castle, which must be fought using only 3 platforms? Each were barely as wide as Mega Man himself, and they were suspended over a pit of doom. One false step and it's over fast. Everything is tweaked to kill you, murder you, blow you up, impale you, shoot you, stab you, and obliterate you. It's like the whole game takes place in Los Angeles. I mean, just think about spikes on the ceiling. On the ceiling. Mega Man 2 is unapologetically hard, and modern gamers who are used to helpful tutorials, practice rounds, and autosaves get none of that here. It is balanced to be challenging without being annoying. Given that Mega Man 2 is as tough to beat as it is, it's still got some decent replay value. Sure, you're not going to sit down and play it again a second time right through after the credits roll, but it's a game that has stood the test of time. People still come back to enjoy it to this day, certainly more so than the outright unenjoyable difficulty of the original Mega Man. The fact again that you can complete the stages in any order you like, and that it comes with 2 modes, normal and difficult, means it has a moderate amount of flexibility in this area for a fairly linear game. Mega Man 2 may not be the first game to come up with its basic premise and concepts, but it is the game which took the basics of its franchise to the next level of refinement and played around with those original concepts to come up with something great. And it was Mega Man 2, not the first game, that introduced the continued staples of the series. That's why it is the launching pad and not its predecessor. Its whimsical but deadly visuals, engaging controls, fun boss fights, and hardcore tunes set it apart from its contemporaries. While it didn't sire the idea of jumping and shooting, and so it might be difficult from our century to understand how groundbreaking Mega Man 2 was, what it did do was ensure the infrastructure of a unique and lovable icon. I love this game. I love its awesome soundtrack. I love the quirky pixel art. It's a part of my childhood. It and its successors are the reason why my preteen self stayed up until 1 AM Saturday night just to watch the Mega Man cartoon show. If someone asked me to pick out the best sample of 8-bit gaming, I would say it's a toss-up between Super Mario Bros. 3 and Mega Man 2. However, it's the latter of those two that is the more challenging. Though knuckle-crushingly difficult at times, that only gives you the well-deserved sense of achievement when at last you lay that wily villain low. Mega Man 2 has been re-released and repackaged many times since 1988, and I hope that it perseveres to delight new generations without ever fading away into the obscurity of gaming's happy, bygone golden age. That concludes this audio review. You can read more at thewellreadmage.com, and you can support our work to inspire a future for games writing and a better gaming community via Patreon. And please be sure to subscribe. Thanks for listening. I'm the Well-Read Mage.